troopers who are still here in the room, waiting for the last presentation of the day. Just give me a second to be set up. All right, so I'm here today with Save a Mother. It's a non-profit, and our mandate here is to keep the poor healthy and to do it in a cost-realistic manner. We all know the problems, right? We know that to go from sickness to health, India needs solutions that can be deployed very fast, very speedily, and we also need to attain scale. Whenever you talk about scale, there is a hope that IT is somehow going to reduce the disease burden and is going to solve a lot of our problems. But when you try and triangulate what exactly IT can do in rural populations, I think you come up with a grid like this. So you can think for disease prevention, it can help in health literacy, disease surveillance, perhaps providing care at point of intervention by means of telemedicine and kiosks, and of course the whole benefit from using IT in processes and so on. And so from our perspective, our view from the trenches, what can IT do for us in rural communities? Set of 7 things that we can think of. It can help in education, provide a helpline, diagnostics and treatments, communication with healthcare workers, disease tracking, remote monitoring, and data collection. That's the view from our world. And there are plenty of case studies, compelling examples deployed throughout the world, and I won't go into that. I'm sure you've seen this over these past 3 days or so. But for example, data gathering for dengue on the phone in Brazil, text-to-change for educating AIDS patients in Uganda, compelling models of primary care in Peru, and then Medic Mobile that came out of the US and is deployed in over 40% of Malawi district hospitals. In India, there's been plenty of work done in the telehealth arena, and we've created services, equipment, applications, and big consortia of public and private players to move IT into rural communities. One example, I think that's been successful at providing intervention or delivering care at point of intervention is the Arogya kiosks that are deployed in Rajasthan. And what they do is they provide algorithms for certain common ailments operated by someone from a village, supervised by a physician, viable business model of 12 rupees per visit. Business model was published by a group from IIT about 5 or 6 years ago that connects right all the way from the village kiosk to your technology provider, through the healthcare provider, through telemedicine and the technology providers. So the question is then, can kiosks, can telemedicine really deliver? Can it reduce disease burden in rural India? The answer perhaps is yes. And I'm going to wager in this audience that it has to come hand in hand with human intervention because healthcare doesn't work effectively without human intervention. That's been our experience in the field. And the other burning question is, at what cost are you providing IT? At what cost? Is it realistic? Is it sustainable with or without government subsidy? But what business models might you be able to build to make this whole proposition viable? So I'm going to move away from IT, the next part, and describe some of the initiatives that we've taken at Save a Mother and pose it in a way that, is it possible to have an impact on rural health, deep impact, real quantifiable impact without the use of IT? So at Save a Mother, like I mentioned, we're looking at keeping the poor healthy. So we are always thinking of devising solutions for the poor, healthcare solutions for the poor. And the first area of focus we started, this is a fledgling organization, we've been in the field about 3 years now, was maternal health, maternal and child health. That's the first problem we picked. And I'd like to share with you the results that have come out of this work with our team. The philosophy by which we approach healthcare in rural India is that health literacy is the least expensive means of reducing disease burden. Also, if you approach health as a responsibility over a human right, it is a more sustainable model for propagating health literacy in communities that we work in. And I think these 2 methods have really been the cornerstone which have made our method simple, sustainable, and scalable with speed. What is it that we do? We keep it really simple. We just break down what you need. Just like the 7 habits of highly effective people, we've broken it down into 7 habits of healthy people and conveyed this knowledge to rural communities in a format that they can understand assimilate and internalized until it becomes part of their daily practice. And that has really been key to the success of our program. This sort of low-cost social marketing techniques, intense, repetitive repetition of key information that you need in order to keep yourself healthy. What are the main areas we touch upon? That you should hold regular meetings in the community to identify problems in the community. We talk about personal hygiene, things that you and I take for granted, cut your nails, boil water, simple things, knowledge that has existed for 100 years, but no one has it hasn't made it back to the community still. We're not talking about 21st century problems, we're talking about problems of the 18th and the 19th century, really. So we talk, and then for maternal care, we teach our populations just 4 basic things. Take 100 iron tablets, make sure you get 3 visits to the hospital. We promote institutional delivery, and in essence, we are driving the demand for public health by connecting pregnant women to health existing services that they can utilize, which are currently underutilized. And there are also modules on childhood nutrition and so on. But the key, again, is it's done in a format that makes sense to the communities where we work in. So all our materials, flip charts, graphics, are designed in the village by the villagers, produced and printed in the village. So there's a real sense of ownership of material. We also teach through songs and slogans that each village actually comes up and devises on its own. And that's really been very, I think, essential to the kind of impact that we're seeing now. So there is our health activists undergo, and these all health activists, we have about 1,300 health activists in the field right now. Every single one of them works as a volunteer. So these are women from the village who are not highly educated, who are not paid a salary, but they're motivated enough to keep our program sustainable. So training is intense, repetitive, there are a number of meetings, there is house calls, each pregnancy is tracked. There is robust data collection, and data collection is enabled through our healthcare workers. And it's interesting because a lot of these women are not educated, they've barely made it through 6th grade. And now they're actually going out and collecting data on population, healthcare expenditure, complications during pregnancy. There is absolutely no use of IT in this methodology. Even in tracking pregnancies, there is no hand-holding, there is no reminders by phone or so on to ask a woman to take her iron tablets or go visit a physician. So what has our impact been, again, with this very low-cost method? In less than 3 years' time, we've seen a 93% reduction in the maternal mortality ratio, over 60% reduction in newborn deaths. Okay? And the cost at which we've been able to achieve this, thank you, is actually under less than 5,000 rupees per village per year. That's the true cost it's taken for us to get these results. That's the good news. It's also a scalable solution. In 3 years' time, we are in over now 1,000 villages. We have about 1,300 health activists in the field, and currently our program is growing at the rate of 1 village per year. So we feel happy about this result. We can pat ourselves on the back. But here's another slide that puts this whole everything I described to you into perspective. Expanding at the rate of a village a day with the resources, financial and manpower resources that we have, to cover all of India, 600,000 villages will take over the millennium. It's not possible. So we're back to the problem that India needs scale, and we need to do it really quick. So the challenge of scale is, can we use IT as an amplifier? Like I said before, telemedicine by itself, rural health IT by itself cannot deliver. It has to be hand in hand with this grounds work, and use really try and leverage existing technologies as an amplifier. So we've broken down the paradigm of finding developing solutions for healthcare into 3 main cycles. So there is the data collection cycle, identifying problems in the field, analyzing this data, reporting it, collecting it, which in my mind is not the big problem. And it's been done for years, whether you do it on paper or electronic. It'll lead to refinement and perhaps more accuracy, but that's not where the big leap is going to be. But however, this data collection feeds into a knowledge repository, and our challenge then is to take this knowledge and then push it through barriers that have existed. There are social, cultural, and technology barriers to bring it to point of care. and to innovate these delivery solutions, which I think has been the crux of need for technologies like telemedicine and so on. So what are we doing? How are we approaching it? The data collection piece, we are instituting right now, we are formulating and setting up a rural health IT system in collaboration. Again, this is a consortium with folks from CDAC, Intel, Indian Association for Medical Informatics, and a host of medical and IT professionals, with the hope that now we can get access to our own data at the individual level and also at the public health level. This data will feed into a knowledge repository that we are working on and building, right from low-tech print media to DVDs, low-cost films that are not very expensive to produce and disseminate nowadays, and also touchscreen kiosks. We're also launching a program on telemessaging, a pilot to see how effective it is and and we're always keeping track of the cost. How much does it cost and how much of a difference does it really make, impact it has in the long term? So we are starting these pilots in the villages that we work. For health delivery, and this I think is crux to, if you want to move India from sickness to health, we've come up with a module of a plug-and-play module, if you will, of 25 sectors, 25 modules that can provide a self-sustaining ecosystem. They include preventive services, ambulatory services, curative, and then sector-wise interventions, and then, of course, logistics, resources, and so on. For now, we focused on health education and within sectors, maternal and child health, but we are now moving into TB eradication, population stabilization, and our plan now is to set up these Save a Mother innovation zones. Now, these are not theoretical, these are not going to be labs or a physical building where we are carrying out theoretical research, but they will in fact be groups of 500 to 1,000 villages that are places of dynamic action for rapid prototyping and testing pilots of what have you may for developing. The focus is always healthcare solutions for the poor. They may be social persuasive techniques, behavior modification programs, the use of ICT, cost-realistic ICT, and then, of course, the whole slew of other health-related problems that we need to address. So I'll just take a step back. A lot of slides that I covered very quickly, but our conclusion, our view from the trenches is, from our perspective, what is it that rural health IT should deliver? It should make information freely and transparently available. It should decrease disease burden. We should be able to manage disease, and very importantly, to make this whole effort sustainable, we have to be able to manage cost. This is references. And so I'll just end by saying that from going to sickness to health, ICT by itself is not a standalone solution. However, we cannot afford to ignore it, and scaling is going to be possible with ICT, and time will tell what technologies stand the test of time. So thank you very much for your attention this late in the afternoon. I'll close by saying that this is almost an entirely volunteer-run organization. I'm also a volunteer in the group, and we're always looking for people to volunteer their expertise and time in whatever form, manner that you may have. So thank you again for your time.
Thank you. So definitely telemedicine requires just more than technology, it requires passion and commitment. Thanks very much. I think this is a terrific presentation. Definitely it should not take 1 million years to reach all the mothers. Any question from the audience? We have three minutes to conclude, so any question, I think she should be happy to answer. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Very good presentation. Actually, yesterday I did this very similar presentation here. My field is UP, Kushinagar, and only 3 hours in the morning and 3 hours in the evening electricity. Then I'm trying to utilize some continuous device to data collection under 2G GSM. But the slight issue is I'm Japanese, then we are funding one hospital by NGO, but the surrounding hospital is public. And ASHA and many workers there. And always we have to be very careful not to too much doing, and otherwise public hospital people will upset. So do you have any conflict with other sectors.
In fact, we do the exact opposite. We partner with whatever NGO works there. We partner with ASHA workers, microfinance, and so on, because that really amplifies our effect. It helps them, it helps us. And we've been very successful and fortunate in forging those relationships.
Okay.
So we can talk offline also,
Yeah, yeah.
because our projects are also in Uttar Pradesh.
Thank you very much.
Any other question? Okay, so I just have one question, is that you mentioned about, covering 3 lakh villages. So I'm told that the maternal mortality issue is primarily related to some part of India, not across. Like, for example, the MMR rates have improved significantly in southern part of India, in Maharashtra, in Gujarat. I guess it's something to do with some portion of the country. So is it a good idea to focus on those where it requires a high impact? Is that something which you thought about?
I'll tell you that worldwide, highest number of maternal deaths in the world take place in India.
Right.
So we're not even close to meeting Millennium Development Goals and so on. Uttar Pradesh, the most populous state, has the highest maternal mortality ratio. 1 in 42 women in India, in Uttar Pradesh, may die during childbirth. That's a statistic that's just not acceptable. And because of the population of the country, it's not statistics of small numbers, it's actually a big problem. And it's a basic problem. If you don't take care of one of the taglines that we have, and I really believe in this, is if you save a mother, you save a family, you save a community. So mothers and children are very important to the long-term growth of any nation. It's not a problem you can ignore.
Terrific. And I'm quite sure that there will be enough support for what you do. I think it's a terrific, big service to the country, more than what you do for the IT industry. So thanks very much. And if you don't have any other question, I would like to thank all the speakers for having contributed to this meeting. Thank you.